around 21,000 people this year. So last year in Singapore, there was only about to an international conference. It really gives you a real taste of what Rotary is all about. So again, I strongly encourage you that. And then the last one is that our district conference is out in Rapid City where we're members, and it's October 3rd through the 6th. And encourage you to come out for that. Our committee's been working on it for almost 2 years now. We've got some great things. One of our surgeons out in Rapid City is Native American, is the first Native American to climb Mount Everest, and has a really good presentation. And then, I don't know if you guys are aware of the 2 pilots from Iowa who flew their single-engine plane around the world to raise money for End Polio Now. We're hoping to raise about $100,000, and the last I heard they were over $2 million. So they've done a great job. It took them longer than they expected because apparently the mechanic who did their annual before they left didn't do a very good job because apparently one of the cylinders wasn't fired. But they made it. It's been fixed. The reason I say that is that we're going to be auctioning off a ride with them out in the conference. So it's safe to go with them and stuff. So, but we'll be doing that to raise money for End Polio Now. So hopefully you'll be able to make the drive out there and spend some time with us. We've got some fun things planned, some great breakout sessions. So hopefully you'll consider doing that. Okay, so I have 2. Got a little loud, isn't it? Can you hear me okay? Okay. So I have 2 objectives for today. The first one I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me, just so you know where I'm coming from. And the second one is that I want to talk to you about what Rotary International is doing to help our clubs thrive in today's world. And also what opportunities that you have as Rotarians and the impact that you make as Rotarians. So when I joined Rotary, it was... James, can you maybe turn off the sound? He's not here. Okay. As Melissa said, she kind of took some of my thunder away here. Sorry. I joined Rotary in 1987, so I'm in my 37th year of being a Rotarian, and my 32nd year of perfect attendance. And I say that not to brag, but just it's kind of fun, and it's kind of one of those things that I've come to realize that I have to keep going because it's too hard to start over on something like that, right? I'd never make it again. So the reason I have this up there is that our President Stephanie was on a water project, and had the dirty water coming in, clean water coming out, turn the spout on, had the water come out. And she turned it off, and she said one little boy came up to her and said, "Make the magic happen again." And that's where this theme comes from, but it's also because as Rotarians, you need to realize that you make magic happen every project that you work on and everything that you do. And so I just think it's a real fitting theme. So again, as Melissa said, my wife Kim is with me today. She's my co-pilot and has done a great job of keeping me on track and getting things done for me, so that's been very helpful. She joined our Rotary Club in 2022 when she retired, so we get to go to meetings together. We have a granddaughter, Daphne. This is where you go, oh. Yeah. She lives up in Minneapolis with our daughter, Rachel. This is correct, isn't it?
Yeah,
okay. So Rachel got married to Jeff during the pandemic, and a year later is when we had the party, which is where this photo was taken. And then the gentleman on the left with the beard is our son Sam, who also lives in Minneapolis. And so it makes it nice for the family to get together at times. And then we have our dog Harper, who Sam is watching right now, so that works out good for us. So when I joined Rotary, I was new to Rapid City, and I was looking to meet people. And someone asked me to join Rotary, and to me it proved to be the second best thing that's ever happened to me. And some Rotarians will talk about that Rotary moment that they had, that situation or the project that they were working on when they got what Rotary was all about. And while, like Melissa said, I've been on a number of humanitarian trips and many projects with our club and friendship exchanges, I can't say that I've ever really had, a Rotary moment, but what I do feel I've had is a Rotary life. And as it says, I joined Rotary to change the world, and Rotary changed me. I joined Rotary to make the world a better place, and Rotary made me a better person. And I truly feel that that's been my life, being in Rotary, and I hope that you can say the same thing, that what you've had happen with your life in Rotary. So, again, as Melissa said, since I've joined Rotary, I've been the club president, the club membership chair, the club foundation chair, the district foundation chair. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow, a member of the Paul Harris Society, a major donor, a member of the Bequest Society, and the Polio Plus Society. And I say those things not to brag about what I've done or doing, but to show you the passion that I have for this organization and the foundation. And I hope that you share that passion with me. So one of the benefits about being a member of Rotary International is that we have people in Evanston who analyze information to see where the world is headed, work on strategic planning, see why people join Rotary, why they stay in Rotary, and why they leave Rotary. And so one of the things that they've had come out of that is our vision statement. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And I think that this vision statement really fits what Rotary is all about, and I hope you agree with that. And as a continuation of this, they've identified 4 priorities that we feel directly relate to club and member success. And I want to talk about those. The first one is that we need to increase our impact. And this relates to the projects that we do, how we allocate the money that we give to the foundation, and what the impact that those projects have on our communities and around the world. And we need to make sure that when we're doing projects, that we analyze how many community members are being impacted by those projects. How many of your club members are being impacted by those projects? And the reason that we need to do those projects is that people will be more likely to join a group that's doing something. And take no offense, and it's not that way here, but they're not interested in coming and having lunch and then leaving. That's not what this younger generation is looking for. And so when we talk about impact, I like to talk about our Polio Plus program. This started back in 1985, and at that time, there was 1,000 cases a day of polio. 1,000 cases a day. And today, so far this Rotary year, we've had 15 cases of polio from the wild polio virus. And the experts are saying that they think that we're about 3 years away from eradicating the polio virus. So to me, that's impact, But you don't need to eradicate a disease to have impact. You do it on every project that you guys work on, right? All the things that you do in your community are having an impact on your community. And I think one of the greatest accomplishments that we've gotten from the Polio Plus program is that we've been able to vaccinate children across borders and around the world in places that we maybe wouldn't have been able to normally. At one point they stopped fighting in Afghanistan in order to let immunizers in there. And so no other country would have been able to get them to do that, but Rotary was able to do that. And also what we've been able to do in this program is we've been able to improve the detection of diseases and also improve the vaccines that have been used. And just because of all that work, in essence, what we have done is created a worldwide supply chain for healthcare. When they have Ebola breakouts in Africa, they say that they've been able to get their arms around that quicker because of that infrastructure that came from Polio Plus and immunizing all the children around the world. And so when we give money to the foundation, last year they gave almost 1,100 global grants, or awarded them, and they were worth over $400 million. They also gave $8 million in disaster grants. Last year we had the Spearfish Club got one because of some flooding out there, and a week or so ago we got approval on another disaster grant for Rock Valley, Cherokee, and Sioux City. And so we've been able to get some help from that. It's the maximum amount that we can get is $25,000, and you can only have one grant at a time, so it's not a lot, but it's something. And then when we were in Singapore this year for the international conference, they awarded the 4th Program of Scale Award. And those are for a minimum of $2 million. And the 4th one that they awarded was for sustainable farming in India. And the other 3 were, one was to end malaria in Zambia, to reduce the mortality rate of mothers and infants in Nigeria, and to eliminate cervical cancer in Egypt. Can any of you eliminate cervical cancer in Egypt by yourself? Just making sure you're awake here after lunch, okay? No, you can't. But as Rotarians, you can. Because when you give money to the foundation, those are some of the things that are happening. You know, not only are you eradicating polio, but you're having an impact on health issues all over the world. And so you need to be aware of the impact that you're having just by sitting here. So the other thing that you can do too, you know, we have a couple of grants that are kind of going on in our district. Our Noon Club out in Rapid City is spearheading an Ending Human Trafficking grant on the Pine Ridge Reservation. And they made their first presentation to the middle and high school kids. And afterwards, 2 girls came forward and felt that they were being groomed for human trafficking. So it's already had an impact. And I'm sure most of you are aware of Hope Haven and how they take refurbished wheelchairs to typically third world countries. They've also gone to Pine Ridge. But you're making that ability to potentially help someone who has never left their home because of their disability be able to be mobile on their own. You know, that is an impact. So the second priority that we need to focus on is to expand our reach. And this means that we need to be inclusive and engaging. We need to be welcoming to those who share our value of service above self. We need to show compassion while at the same time be ambitious on behalf of the world. We need to do more projects, and we need to ask for help. For too long, our organization has been the ones that do all that work and never say anything about it because we didn't want to brag. But we need to change that. How does anybody know that they can join a club like this if you don't let them know all the things that you do? And so we need to keep that in mind as we work on these different projects that we do. And one question I forgot to ask the board. Do you have corporate memberships here? Kinda?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, that's one of the things I've been talking about with some clubs, because there's only a few in the district that do have that, and I think that's an opportunity. And then the other one that I talked about with them was what we call a companion club. And a friend of mine over in Iowa, in their district, they've been doing this for about 2 or 3 years now. And what it is your club continues to meet just like you're doing now. Nothing changes in that regards. But what you do is you start another group, and typically the best time is at 5:30. And they don't meet every week. Sometimes they only meet twice a month. One might be a business meeting, and the other one is a project. But what we're looking for is that younger generation who can't get away at lunchtime, you know, for whatever reason. Their employer won't let them go, or they just don't have the time, or they don't have the money to spend for lunch. And so what they're typically doing is they're meeting in a bar, and if they want to have something to eat, they can, but they don't have to. And so it helps to hold down the cost for them, because they're still paying Rotary International, district dues, and club dues, because they're a member of your club. Your secretary, your treasurer still continues to keep track of them and everything. But they are typically much more project focused than where this one is, you know, from my perspective, a traditional club of having a presenter every week and, you know, things like that. That's not what they're looking for. Again, they're looking much more for that project to see what they can accomplish. And so the other thing that we see on that is that you, and Melissa's already done some of this, so it's great, but I challenged her to do at least 2 surveys a year with you guys. But the big thing with the survey is that when she sends it out, you know what you need to do with it? You need to fill it out. So apparently only 5 of you did it this last time, and there's more than 5 of you here now. You know, how do you grow and change if you don't give feedback to her? So please, when she does the next one, do that. The other thing that I talked to her about was that on Rotary's website, they have a community assessment. And what that is you actually get people from the community together and talk about what's going on in the community and what may be some opportunities for your club to help out with that, with things that are going on in the community. You know, there's an interesting comment that I'd never heard before, that you almost have more service people that people that want to do service than you have projects, which is a great problem to have, but typically there's always something out there that can be done. And then the other one, like I said, was a club assessment, and I again encourage her to do that again. And then another thing, that I think she already talked about with you, was to do a survey with using Rotary's area of focus. So that, you know, there's 7 areas of focus, and what I said is you can go and say, okay, what are the top 2 or 3 areas of focus that you're most passionate about? And then do a project based on that. So if the majority of you say, hey, we'd like to do something with maternal and child health, well, plan a project around that. Make sure that the passions of your club correspond with the projects that you're doing. And then also we talked about new members and how it's so important to get them engaged when they come in. And one of the things that I feel you need to do when you get a new member is you ask them, what do you want to get out of your membership? So be prepared to tell Melissa that. And then Melissa, you need to make sure that he gets that, as you do with every new member. So the 4th priority is to increase our ability to adapt. And I talked about this a lot at our President-elect Learning Seminar this year. And the one that I have to say, and please listen to me, is we cannot be our father's Rotary Club anymore. Even Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary many years ago, said this is a changing world and we must be prepared to change with it. The story of Rotary will have to be written again and again. We need to change with the times. Does anybody know one of the definitions of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, right? We need to stop the insanity. We need to change what we're doing, not just for change's sakes, but for positive change, and make sure that we're engaging that younger generation. And we need to look at our communities, because our communities are not just old white men like me eating chicken for lunch, right? Am I right? So we need to be aware of that and see how we can adapt and change to the next thing. You know, part of it is that and again, please don't think this wrong, but there's too many old white guys here that have put blood, sweat, and tears into this club, and I don't think that you want to see it die. And so we need to make sure that as we're moving ahead, that we're engaging that next generation, because they're the ones that are going to be taking over Rotary at some point in time. And so we need to make sure that we're getting them engaged and that they're given that ability and the opportunity to give back to our communities. So how do you put the action plan to work? So the first thing is that you need to talk about it. And so one of my recommendations is that you take the 4 priorities and maybe break up into 4 groups or do it over 4 meetings and just talk about it. You know, what would it mean if you enhance participant engagement? What would it mean if you had 75% of your club going to your next project instead of 20%? Or what would it mean if you were able to adapt and bring more younger generations into the fold, if you will? You know, and you also need to look at how you can engage the younger generation. You know, typically they like to do socials. So maybe you need to do a social with the Lions Club and just get to know them. You know, typically those other clubs are struggling more than you guys are. And so it's an opportunity to say, hey, can we help you out with your next pancake feed? And then when you have your next project, to ask them to help. Or maybe ask them to join your club and you'll continue working on things. We can be more flexible. We have to do that nowadays. And then, I forgot to ask at the board meeting, do you guys do like a school supply drive in Vermillion for kids?
There is one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not very nice, but...
No, yeah, but there is one. So, you know, look at the people who are doing that. Would they make good members of Rotary? You know, apparently they're looking to give back in some way or another. You know, there's an opportunity there. And if you have some corporate members, have a social with them. You know, get to know their business more. You know, the nice thing about that is that when you have a project coming up and you need some help, they may be able to help you. But Rotary is kind of founded on socials and fellowship. So, you know, don't be afraid to do those. You know, the other thing on doing those type of things is that when you do your projects, you know, like I mentioned, we need to let the community know what you do. Because I think every community has a Rotary Club in it that does things that they don't really know about. And so we need to do a better job of showing everybody how irresistible that your club can be and why they want to be a member of it. So the other thing, and I know with Chuck in your club that I'm kind of speaking to the choir a little bit here, but people's perception of Rotary comes from their experiences with our clubs and our programs, as well as from the stories that we tell them and the images that we share. In addition to offering people a great experience, keeping our communications consistent and compelling strengthens our brand and reinforces that we're people of action. You know, when we send in pictures for Facebook or whatever, I tell clubs, I don't really want a picture of you giving a pin to somebody. Nobody really cares about that outside of the club. What I want is you doing something, whether it's packing backpacks or planting trees or whatever project it is that you're working on at the time. That's what people are interested in, to see what you're doing and the actions that you're taking. Because a strong brand helps us engage and attract more members, participants, donors, and partners. And social media can connect your club with current and past members, prospective members, donors, and friends. And using it is an effective way to increase your community's awareness of your club and its activities. And so my final thing is that we need to make sure that we are changing. And again, like I say, it's not to change just for the sake of changing. But for example, they say that one of the prime indicators of a club member's experience is club meetings. And so you want to make sure that you're having fun when you do your meetings. You know, that they're engaging and doing things that people are excited about. And there's also 5 other drivers of a meaningful club experience. It's meeting enjoyment, confidence in club leadership, personal growth opportunities, connections, and meaningful service. And we need to make sure that the projects that we're doing are meaningful. And again, that they're having an impact on the communities that you're serving. And so with that, I will end and ask if there's any questions, any comments about what I've said. Yes, sir?
You mentioned something about polio and being 3 years from eradication. I've heard that story many, many times about we're done or we're going to be done next year. Are we moving into different areas, or are we becoming more intensively involved in certain areas?
Well, the only two countries that still have really the wild virus is Afghanistan and Pakistan. And so if I'd been here about 3 weeks ago, I would have said we had 5 cases from the wild virus. And there was a little outbreak, and so they're trying to get their arms around that as quickly as they can. They have detected some in Gaza with the fighting there, so they're working on that. And so, polio was only a plane ride away. And so that's one of the difficult things. It's trying to survive, even though we're trying to eradicate it. But they do feel that we're getting closer. They can identify, if they have a baby in Gaza that has polio, they can identify where that polio virus came from, And so, again, they're able to figure out where it came from and what they need to do in that area, not only, right there, but in the area where it originated from. And so, with all the stuff that they've got going on, they've changed how they're immunizing for polio. It used to be the 2 drops, and there was the, I'll say, issue of that would, not morph, what's the word I want to say? Mutate, thank you, and cause polio. And so now they're using a shot that's a dead virus, so it can't mutate. So they're doing those things. That's a more expensive, a little bit harder one to administer. But again, they're doing the things that they feel is making going to be making that impact to truly eradicate.
I can see the problem in Pakistan. Do you know, are we able to get into the tribal areas of northern Pakistan?
We have, maybe not all of them, but again, my understanding is that we're able to get in there when other organizations aren't. I think that there's been 65 people who've been murdered immunizing. So the things that those people are doing in those countries is incredible. Because they're actually risking their life to, do some of those things. So it's, the other thing, in India, honestly, 6 years ago, I would bet money that we would never have eradicated polio. There's 64,000 kids a day born in India. How do you get your arms around something like that? But they do. Their immunization days, they have millions of kids a day that they're immunizing for polio. So it's out there, but I think it is in sight.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You're talking about increasing impact and next generation be getting excited and interested about Rotary clubs and continue the traditions and what we have. But what kind of understanding do we have and how do we do it? Because new reality or new generation is completely different. They're all digital. They have nothing else but this is their community. They don't speak face to face. They cannot look up in the eyes of other people and talk. They can text and communicate and do everything, all the deals. So how do we impact and how do we make them excited about what Rotary's traditional values are? Because for them, digital media tells what to do and what not to do. Nothing else means to them. And is there any research or any thoughts made before we try to create that impact? That traditional innovative thoughts may not be helpful, I don't know. But I'm just thinking through that new generation is very different.
You're 100% right, it is very different. And one of the things that I've looked at is that we have a young professionals group attached to our chamber in Allen Rapid that we're trying to engage. And one of the things that we've talked about as well, when we have a project, let's invite them to that, which is okay, but what we really need to do, and you have that Vermillion Next, I think is right, that what I feel, just me talking here, that you need to do is you need to reach out to them and say, what projects are you interested in doing? And then, are they going to be more passionate about a project that they're interested in or your project? Duh, right? Okay? But when you do that, they say that the 2 main reasons that people join a service group are for community service and friendship. And the 2 reasons that they stay in a service group? It's for friendship and community service. Okay? So you engage them by doing a project with them, you know, because that younger generation, when we do a project, yeah, just da-da-da-da, it's done. Well, they don't have those skills yet. You know, they're still trying to get those skills honed down. And so what they're looking for is for us to help them say, here, let's plan this project, you know, work with us in doing it. And then you create some friends so that you can say, the next project that you do, hey, could somebody come and help us with ours? And then maybe you say, hey, would you guys like to start meeting at 5:30 on Thursday afternoon or Thursday evenings and doing some projects of your own? We've got some district grant money that we'll make available to you so that you can do some projects. Or we'll help you out in doing it. Maybe we'll even give you some money to do the projects. Now, there's many ways to engage that next generation, but you need to extend your porch to them because they're not going to come to us. But at the same time, there are kids out there who want to give back and want to do service projects. You know, it's not like us when we grew up. That was what you did. It's not, there's so many opportunities today. But there are still kids out there that do want to give back. And we just need to make it an opportunity for them to do that.
So how do we find out that they want to give back, but what excites them to do that, to give back?
Ask them.
Yeah, that's what it is, that we need to know, that going with traditional ideas may not work.
That's correct.
Let's go ahead and how we know this and that, they may not like it.
Well, and I think too that you want to engage them on social media.
Correct. It's not one thing, it's many things that we have to do that. But again, I think the important thing though is you have to ask them, you know, is there a project that you guys would like to work on that you have a passion about? Anything else? Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for all that you do. And I don't say that lightly because you are an active club. And I appreciate all that you do because you are making an impact on your communities and around the world. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much, and we have a couple little gifts to give you, our club flag,
Flag.
we have a lovely little mug too, so thank you very much.
At our club, we give a pen, but it is, okay. What's
I can't remember the word.
coveted? I think, is it coveted?
Coveted, yes.
Coveted.
Yeah,
It's the
coveted
coveted
Rotary.
because it's Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so I think Kathy and Dan are still going around with football books, so make sure that you get those. Most of us are guaranteed to win. Thanks to our guests today. Addison left, but Dee Dee and Matt from Botswana, we're really happy that you were able to join us. It was lovely talking with you at lunch. And Bruce and Kim, thank you.